Greetings, fellow Earthlings. Welcome to another episode of And Another Thing with Dave. Seeking the truth, exposing the lies. Remember, together, we are unstoppable. Keep on digging.
So what's going on with
Can't
you, man?
wait.
How are you doing?
Not a lot. Not a lot. I'm doing all right. Yeah.
So, when it comes to even the debate with what we're talking about, like the show coming up with Eric, what are some of the stuff that you're kind of wanting to touch on? Because I remember you were talking about like the CIA and shit like that.
Yeah, I've been watching some programs about, how the CIA is basically in bed with the mafia. I watched one the other night. There was the biggest scandal at the time in U.S. history was the savings and loan scandal of the late 80s, early 90s. I just watched this program about it. And the CIA basically purposely tanked something like 27 savings and loans because they were backed by backed by US bonds, which is taxpayer money basically. So they knew they could destroy the savings and loan, make off with the money, and the taxpayers would be left with the bag, with the debt. And that's exactly what happened. And the guy that was speaking on it was saying that it led to a perpetual debt of $25 to $30 billion a year for taxpayers forever, in perpetuity. Yeah.
Wait, what? And how much did they take?
They hundreds of billions of dollars, and they took the money to use for covert operations, so to directly go against Congress. And somehow we still allow the CIA to exist. I guess you can't stop it because look at Kennedy, right? Didn't work out so good.
I didn't know that. That's insane, but it makes sense.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And I mean, they've been tied to drug smuggling over and over and over. That's basically the crack epidemic was created by the CIA smuggling coke into this country.
Oh yeah,
and that's the reason the Vietnam War went on so long, because they were smuggling heroin out of there. And then go figure, after our military arrived in Afghanistan, then it became the leading producer of heroin. Funny that.
Right. Yeah. I heard about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they have the balls to talk about a war on drugs. What the fuck are you talking about?
And they're defending democracy? No, they're not. They're subverting it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I had this hunch the other day. I just kind of had this epiphany, and it was about communism. Because my whole life I've been told communism evil. We got to do anything to stop it. Well, if it was so bad, wouldn't we let countries try it and decide that they don't like it? But no. Anytime a country starts leading towards communism, we send in assassins. If that doesn't work, we go to war with them. It's crazy.
Or we put an embargo on them.
Yeah, all of the above sometimes, right? So maybe it is the better way, and we're just trying to keep that secret a secret. Who knows? But one thing I learned was that the only place that's ever actually been real communism was a tiny little village in China. So it's never really been played out.
Oh, they actually did the full version of what Marx talked about, huh?
Yeah, but it was just a small village, right? So we've never seen it in a government, and never seen a nation state attempt it. People are so quick to be like, oh, look how socialism never works. Look at Venezuela. Look at, some people even say Nazi Germany. That wasn't socialism. That was a totalitarian state,
Right.
And Venezuela would be doing great if we didn't have, embargoes on them for 20 years.
Or try to prop up right-wing guys that come in and or when they do a coup or some shit like that. They love doing coups in South America.
Yeah, that guy Juan Guaido, right? We appointed him president of Venezuela after the other guy, I forget his name, Morales, maybe. But after the real president won an election, we put in this other guy. Oh no, this guy really won. He didn't. He got 1% of the vote or something. And the funniest thing, recently, Biden has been negotiating, not with the puppet that we put in place, but with the real president. So there you go. So, yeah, it's all a house of cards. It's all about the money.
Wait, why would he be negotiating with the real president if they didn't want him in?
Because the puppet doesn't have any power.
That's fucking insane.
Isn't that hilarious?
That is hilarious.
It's like the emperor is wearing no clothes, and the clothes just came off.
Right. Huh.
But yeah, I mean, talk about like, we point the finger at other governments for doing this kind of shit, but our government seized all of Venezuela's money and gave it to this guy, Juan Guaido. Billions of dollars. Like, what? How do we have a right to do that?
Right.
It's unbelievable. We're pointing like, oh, we got to defend democracy over here and over there. And we're never defending democracy. We're defending dollars.
Right.
As
if we have real democracy in our own country. That's another thing that's so fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
It's so funny. It's so weird that, like, it's really weird to watch what people say, like the average person. Like, for example, like democracy, right? We all know and talk about all the time how our voting system is inherently corrupted, and or our political system is corrupted. But then people turn around and say we have real democracy, or all of a sudden they'll turn around. You know what I mean? When you start really critiquing it, really truly critiquing it, then all of a sudden they'll turn around. Well, wait a minute. I mean, we have the most freedom in the world, don't we? Like, no, not really. I mean,
not really at all. We were ranked like something like number 17 or 18 freest country in the world. So there's 17 or 18 countries that are doing way better than we are, as far as that goes.
Right. And then I always point out, like, okay, what is freedom to you? And what is that? I mean, what does freedom look like in this country, really? And it really means that you need to have money, because otherwise you're just working for somebody.
Yeah. If you're like a single white old male, you got a lot of freedom. But if you're a pregnant woman, you don't have so much freedom, do you?
There you go.
Yeah.
And so on
Pretty
and so
ironic.
forth.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, you can pick any example, like the drug laws. Really? We're a free country? Oh, unless you get caught with a little bag of weed. Some states you could do, serious time for that. Still, in this day and age, it's insanity.
Right. Yeah.
And we're talking about the oligarchs of Ukraine, right? We got to rein in the oligarchs. What about our oligarchs? There was just this thing that came out, I think it was last year, the Pandora Papers, and it talks about how all the billionaires in this country shield their money in offshore accounts so they don't have to pay taxes on their real wealth. What about our oligarchs? How about oligarchs all over the world? How about we rein in corruption all over the world? Oh no, we can't do that.
Right.
Just theirs. Just over there.
It's so fun. It's so funny how all of a sudden they know what an oligarch is. But it's like we're looking at them all the time. Like, we're talking about them all the time. Amazon, Walmart, any of these people. And but like somehow we just go about our daily life. But then they talk about like people in other countries. Well, they have to deal with oligarchs and a corrupt system. And they're like literally describing the same shit that's happening here. And it's like, what?
Exactly. Yeah, the Starbucks CEO bought his way into an election even.
Right. The most disgusting display of anti-democracy was this last time when Bloomberg and Schultz got into the fucking race. Schultz at least entered right away, but like the fact that they were able to just like buy themselves in, or like even with like Trump doing it as well.
Yeah, it's such bullshit. Yeah, and we're not even in the top 10 fairest elections in the world, right? Like Venezuela was ranked by some international body that studies this shit. They were ranked to have a more fair election than the United States.
Take that, everybody that likes to use Venezuela as an example of anti-freedom.
Yeah, exactly. It's just what lens you're looking through. If you're listening to the corporate news, Venezuela bad. But you know why they're so bad, dude? Because they have a huge oil reserve, and we want that shit. Just like we wanted it from Iraq, we wanted it from Libya, we wanted it from Syria. Well, we want it from Venezuela too.
That's why they also try to argue against people nationalizing industries like that, because then they have more control over it and they're not easily corrupted.
Exactly. You got it. Exactly. That's why we're pointing the finger at China and Russia, right? What have either one of those countries done to us? Nothing. Ever. You know?
Right. And that's what I pointed out too, is like something to think about. Is like just something for people to think about, is like, what did Russia do to us? Like, what did Russia, what kind of threat did Russia pose to us when they had the revolution? And what did
Zero.
we have and what did we have to gain in opposing them, or supporting supporting the white army to try and bring back the monarchy? Like, make it make sense. If we're supposedly for democracy, why are we doing that? And why did we instantly go against communism, against like the first major country that was going to put in some form of it, like instantly before it was even really created? If you go back, the US was already against communism.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
so
and,
that
and and you can't forget the point that the Soviet Union defeated the Nazis.
yeah. Yeah. But the point I'm trying to make is that, like, before they could even make up like some propaganda against communism, they were already against it. So I'm just like I'm just wanting people to like really answer that for themselves. Like, why would the US be against something before all these stories came out about how horrible communism is? Why would they be against it? You know what I mean? And
That's a great point.
yeah.
My hunch is because we want McDonald's and Coca-Cola to be able to go in there.
Right. Yeah, literally. Yep.
Yeah, literally.
And then you were talking about, yeah, and then like how we frame everything, like you were saying, how the Russians are the ones that really defeated the Nazis and are really the reason why World War II ended up the way it did, was because of their sacrifice. And that's not really told a lot of the time.
That's not told at all, dude. I mean, nothing against the Jews that died, 6 million Jews, but 13 million Russians died. And we tout D-Day as the battle that won it all. Bullshit. It was the Russians on the front line against Germany, and they were starving to death. They were eating rats. Like, they hunkered down and they defeated the Nazi army in the wintertime, but it was brutal, and they
Right. And you could honestly pinpoint, if they really wanted to pinpoint like a battle, it could be Stalingrad. If they really want to like pinpoint like a turning point in the war.
Thank you. That's
Uh,
what I was trying to remember. Yeah.
yeah, they were literally making food. These this like bread or whatever that was just made out. They didn't even want to know it was. They just threw shit into a fucking oven or whatever the fuck they were making it from, and just threw shit together. Like, they weren't eating like food that human beings should be eating. And
No.
yeah.
And there's apparently there's still Russian families that don't like to talk about it because there was a lot of cannibalism going on. But hey, man, you do what you got to do to survive. I won't hold that against anybody.
Right. Yeah, like, what are you gonna say to people that are in that position, and they're against the largest army known to man, put on one battlefield or whatever it was, the largest, it was the largest army on land that has ever existed, like in a
Yeah,
battlefield or something like that, or whatever. I don't know.
the Nazi army, I mean.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, massive. Yep, pretty crazy. But yeah, I never learned any of this stuff in school, man. It's all, it's all reading and watching, going down the YouTube rabbit hole.
Right. I was fortunate enough to learn about the Russians and stuff, but um I didn't fully grasp just the what they were up against. and fully grasp like the fact that like Hitler sent majority of the army in their direction, and just how incredible it was for them to be able to fight that off.
Yeah, truly. Yep, down to the last man. Brutal. Brutal. Yeah, and exactly. Like we got a bunch of movies about D-Day and Americans being worshipped when they come home from the war and everything, but you never hear about the Russian angle.
Right, because I mean that would go against their propaganda of trying to vilify Russia as much as possible.
Mm-hmm. You know what I learned through watching Oliver Stone did this documentary series called The Untold History of the United States on Showtime. It's like a 10-part series. And he pointed out in that, and it's based on a book that this guy wrote about the whole thing. He pointed out that the only reason we dropped the atom bomb was to intimidate Russia, that the Japanese were 2 weeks away from surrender. And we knew that because we'd intercepted their transmissions. But we basically dropped 2 nukes. And not only did we drop 2 nukes, we did it on a civilian population. We destroyed 2 whole cities, right? So any time that like, oh, we got to go defend the people of, I'm just like, eat a dick. We don't care about people. Look what we did.
Right. I'm so glad that you brought that up, because every time I bring that up, people always try to go with the American talking point of like, oh, well, we needed to do it because the Japanese were going to go down to the last man and they were crazy and they were kamikazing people and they were doing horrible things, and how many American lives would have been lost. That's not why.
We'd already burned a bunch of Japanese cities to the ground because they were all wooden buildings and we were dropping fire bombs. So we'd already destroyed many cities, burned all the way to the ground. But then we wanted to test out, A, we wanted to test out the weapon, and B, we wanted to intimidate the shit out of Russia.
Right.
Like,
do you
look
think
how
that,
crazy we are?
in your opinion, do you think if FDR would have lasted, do you think he would have done that, or do you think he would have held off?
I don't think he would have. I don't think he would have at all.
Yeah,
but
same.
That's total just my thought. I have no evidence to back that up because it's a what if, right? But no, what's his name? Truman came in and he was a warmonger.
I fucking can't stand Truman. He's a little fucking weasel.
Yep.
And he didn't deserve the fucking spot. And fucking Wallace, that he took the VP spot from, or more so the fucking Democratic establishment took from him. That would have been amazing if he would have been VP when Roosevelt died.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And then Truman had the balls to like warn us about the military-industrial complex after it was too late, after he basically created it.
Right. Right.
So like, well, thanks for that.
All right. And then what always confuses me, go ahead. My bad.
I was just going to say, for people who don't know what we're talking about, that on that point, just Google Truman warns of the military-industrial complex. He gave a speech when he was leaving office that the biggest threat to democracy is the military-industrial complex. And look at it now; it's incomprehensibly larger than when he was talking about it.
Right. And then even Eisenhower warned about it too when he left. And then Kennedy talked about it, and then he got killed.
Yeah, exactly. And Snowden talked about it, and he's in hiding forever. Assange talked about it, and they're trying to kill him.
Yeah. Yep. And they're doing this so publicly. It's like, and people just like will literally excuse it. There's still people that call Snowden like a traitor. Like they're like, oh yeah, he exposed some truths or whatever. And like, it's crazy how much people are like programmed to like defend this stuff that they normally would call out as like corrupt and evil.
Yeah, if it was in another country, my own mom calls Snowden a traitor, dude. Like, what? He's the ultimate patriot. He made the ultimate sacrifice. He knew he might go to jail for life, or be executed, and he was still willing to do it.
Right.
That's the
Exactly.
ultimate hero. He did it for
Right.
us. He got nothing out of it.
Yeah. And then what was it? What was the other one that you named? Yeah, just like Assange and like all this stuff, they see these truths coming out, and it's like they literally just they're taught to ignore it. Like it's like somehow they find a way to justify the truth that's brought out instead of being like,
Yeah.
hey, this is fucked up. This is happening in our country. How do we normally react to this situation?
Right. It's so crazy. Like, so not only is Assange in jail and in hiding for exposing the war crimes of the U.S. military, but nobody that he exposed went to jail. All these murderers were allowed to stay free, but he's enemy number one. It's like George Orwell, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Black is white, up is down.
Or I don't want to get like too far into it, but there was a bunch of people that came out to like and I'm gonna start sounding like those tinfoil hat people, but there's a bunch of people that had curious deaths around the Clintons that
Oh yeah.
that had like come out saying different things about like their dealings in the government and shit.
Big time. There's a documentary called The Clinton Body Count, and just what, maybe 2 years ago, a year and a half, 2 years ago, I saw this report that one of the Clinton Foundation employee was busted at the Haitian border trying to smuggle out 17 kids, 17 Haitian kids, and they got busted for it.
That's fucking weird.
Yeah, that was way before Epstein. Go figure.
Right, and then Bill Clinton is on the manifest for that plane going to Epstein Island.
Yep, like 26 times or something. Old pervy Bill.
Right, and he's on record saying that he has a sex addiction, so that's interesting.
Yep. Oh, funny little side note. Bill Clinton stopped drug testing in the White House when he became president.
Of course he did.
Right? He loves his blow, I'll tell you what.
Well, I would have done the same thing on that one, but
Right, you gotta take care of your people.
Right, and just personally be able to smoke and shit,
Yep. Yeah, he inhaled once my ass. Or he did.
I didn't inhale. That's hilarious.
Right, like who would do that, right? You'd go through the motions, but you wouldn't inhale. Come on, how stupid do you think we are?
Just like the little kid thing. Like somehow it makes it better. Like like let's say that weed is so horrible and stuff like that. Like what? Okay, so you didn't inhale, so that means you had the blunt in your hand, you had the whatever in your hand, and you go to like suck it in, and then because you blew it out, somehow it's like takes away the action. I don't know.
At least Obama, and I'm not an Obama fan, but at least he had the balls to say, "Yeah, I smoked a joint. It wasn't really my thing."
Right? Like who gives a shit? And then like or it'd been like if he admitted to Monica instead of denying it right away, but he's just like, well, I didn't finish, so it doesn't really count. Like, what the?
I like to try to do a Bill Clinton impersonation, and my favorite one is, "I did not have sexual relations with that woman. I was just marinating my cigar."
Yeah, right.
Oh, God. Yeah, exactly. Like, just come clean, dude. It was some like Nazi propagandist that said, "The bigger the lie, the better. People will believe any lie. The bigger the lie, the better, and you must repeat it often."
Right.
I think that was Joseph Goebbels, Minister of Propaganda.
Yeah.
Cray.
It's true.
You know?
I mean, look at our fucking media. You know,
Yeah. Yep.
they repeat very simple things. They don't give you a lot of like detail. Um, yeah, I honestly think that we've perfected what that guy has talked about. What that guy talked about because we're able to do it in like a more advanced way. Like we can do it on media and convince people that this is the news.
Exactly. Never mind that none of these stations actually have a reporter on the ground anymore, right?
Right.
They just pay ex-CIA people to come in as a quote unquote advisor or a specialist.
Yeah, I mean they don't really need to do that with Fox, but I mean Fox plays along with whatever they want. But like with CNN, I think is a more accurate thing when it comes to that because like they try to present themselves as like real news.
Yeah, and they're the furthest from it. I call CNN the CIA news network.
I mean, it's true. Like it's true.
It is.
And yeah, man,
And
it's insane.
did you know that MSNBC stands for Microsoft NBC?
No, I didn't know that.
I just learned that this year. So that's basically Microsoft propaganda.
Is it really? That's
Yeah,
insane.
totally. But it makes sense, right? And you'll never hear an anti-war message on any of those, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Shit, even the quote unquote progressive squad, AOC and all those poser traders, um, they fake like they're progressives, but they all voted for sanctions on Russia and escalating the US reaction to Russia. Like that's not
Right.
pro-peace. That's not progressive. That's just parroting what everybody else is saying.
Holy shit. It's fucking Microsoft National Broadcasting Company. That's crazy. This whole
Right?
time. This whole time I had no fucking clue.
Same. I just learned that this year. It's like, what? But it makes sense then, right? Because them and CNN are just in lockstep. Might as well be the same station.
Right, yeah. But no, just the fact that like Microsoft is like has something to do with that. It just kind of makes a lot of fucking sense.
Yet, but people think they're getting the news if they fucking watch those things. That's what cracks me up. They'll point the finger at Fox News like those other two are better. Like, yeah, Fox is absolutely crazy, but so are those other two ones are complete bullshit propaganda too.
Right. Right. I mean like Fox is just like overtly obvious about it. And then on
Right.
top of it, they even have to like legally like distinguish themselves as entertainment, which is also funny that people still like will source Fox at all, but and then with CNN, it's like, well, people that watch CNN tend to be people that I feel like should have some kind of discernment, and like the information that they give you is so bare minimum at best. It's like
Mm-hmm.
they're just putting on a show to make it seem like they're really giving you anything.
Exactly. And about MSNBC, like right, Rachel Maddow was sued for misinformation, and the judge overseeing the case, his finding was, well, everybody knows that that's just an entertainment program. Everybody except all the people that watch it.
Right, right, right.
I call her Rachel Mad Cow because it seems like she's got mad cow disease. She's insane in the membrane.
She seems like she's always mad about something. Like I know I'm mad all the time, but like she just seems like she's always mad about something.
Yeah, and she always does this thing about like what if. Like she did this thing about what if Russia cut off the gas supply? Our power could go out tomorrow. Like, are you kidding me, woman?
Right, right.
And
As she like leans into the camera.
yeah. And then she was hyping up the whole Russiagate thing, even after it was totally debunked. And this
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of And Another Thing with Dave. If you're digging what I'm doing, picking up what I'm throwing down, please do share with friends and on social media. Until next time, keep on digging for the truth.